Good morning, CJ Curry here. It's January the 9th, Thursday. We're talking some NBA action over on PrizePicks. If you guys are into player props, and if you're playing on PrizePicks or some of these other sites that are similar to PrizePicks, this is the channel for you. I'm dropping free information and free picks each and every day. So if you want to go ahead and get subscribed to the channel, this is your opportunity. Hit the subscribe button now. Hit the like button as well. We're going to set today's goal at 124.5 likes, which means I need at least 125 likes from you because I'm taking the over on that number. I think we could smash 124.5 pretty easy between you and me. So let's go ahead and get into today's NBA slate. It's kind of a medium-sized NBA slate, but there's always a lot of injuries, especially with the different illnesses that are going around. There's a lot of guys that are sick, guys that are coming back from injuries. So it's important that we definitely evaluate the injury news. And then, of course, you've got the issues going on in the California, Los Angeles area. Thoughts and prayers to everybody who's out in California if you happen to be watching from the LA area. The Hornets and Lakers is kind of up in the air right now. Not sure if that game's going to actually play due to all of the wildfires in the area. So that's another game to definitely kind of keep your eye on and monitor that situation. But without further ado, let's take a look at some of the most impactful pieces of injury news today that could potentially shake up your player prop picks. Paolo Banchero, that's right, of the Orlando Magic is questionable tonight. He practiced in full real recently, and they're saying that he might make a return tonight. Now, will he get his full run of minutes? Probably not, but just seeing him out there is a great thing, especially for me if you're an Orlando Magic fan. Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies and Desmond Bane of the Memphis Grizzlies, along with Jaren Jackson Jr. of the Memphis Grizzlies, are all on the injury report, all listed as questionable tonight, taking on the Houston Rockets. You got Dylan the Villain, Dylan Brooks, returning to take on his former team in Memphis, but will he be going against his former teammates in Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, and Jaren Jackson Jr.? That remains to be seen. But if Ja is out, then you could see more usage for Scottie Pippen Jr. Desmond Bane, if he is out, all the other starters would get a ton of usage. And then you'd probably see Jake LaRavia or Brandon Clark benefit from Jaren Jackson Jr. if he happens to sit out. More Orlando Magic news. Jalen Suggs is out, which means Cole Anthony, who has been starting at point guard, will probably start at point guard once again. On top of that, you got Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving both out again for the Dallas Mavericks. Daniel Gafford's availability is kind of up in the air. He's questionable as of right now, which means Derek Lively and or Maxi Kleber will get all of those minutes vacated by Daniel Gafford. Outside of that, Jimmy Butler continues to serve his suspension for the Miami Heat, so he won't be playing. Jalen Johnson of the Atlanta Hawks is out, which means Vit Krejci will probably start again as he has been. You're going to see both Trae Young and Dyson Daniels probably get a big bump with Jalen Johnson out of the lineup. Steph Curry's listed as questionable tonight. He is dealing with a knee issue. It would be a big usage bump for the other starters. Buddy Hield would probably start, and then Dennis Schroeder would move to the point guard position instead of playing more of that off guard spot. John Collins of the Utah Jazz is out dealing with a hip, which means Juzang probably starts again, and the other starters would get a pretty big bump. Guys like Lauri Markkanen, Colin Sexton, maybe even a little bit of Walker Kessler benefiting from that. Keontae George is out dealing with the heel issue. You've seen Collier start in his spot. Nice bump for Colin Sexton as well. You've got Draymond Green listed as questionable with the hip issue. Kyle Anderson and some of these other forwards for Golden State would absorb his minutes. Dennis Schroeder is actually also on the injury report, dealing with a hip injury himself. He's questionable. Again, Buddy Hield, Lindy Waters would probably soak up his minutes and Curry's minutes if they both happen to be out. Jeremy Grant's dealing with a facial issue still. He's still listed as doubtful. Denny Avdia has been absolutely balling in his absence, so Denny could be a good one to kind of look at. You got Jabari Smith Jr., who is continuing to miss time. He's out once again. Thompson has filled in quite nicely for Jabari Smith Jr., so He's going to continue to do that if Jabari can't go, and it doesn't look like Jabari's going to go. Jonathan Kuminga's out, of course. You got Wiggins, Green, and Anderson taking up his minutes. And so, I mean, those are your most important pieces of injury news. There's a lot more. You guys can kind of look at them here on the screen. But yeah, definitely not a great time in terms of NBA viewership and NBA betting, but that kind of wraps that portion up. So who am I looking at today? With all these injuries, all this news circulating and swirling, it's kind of hard to make some of these videos early on in the day, but I do have a few different options that we could kind of look at. I was poking around here on this Fantasy Labs player prop, PrizePicks tool, whatever you want to call it. There was a couple of guys that kind of stood out to me where the projection models were just absolutely loving and or hating guys for more or less. And one of the top guys that I saw today was Immanuel Quickley. Immanuel Quickley sitting out there at about, 18.5 points and rebounds, 20.5 points and assists, 15.5 points, 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And you can see that according to the projections on Fantasy Labs, they love him to go over all of those numbers. And so what I like to do is go over to a tool like the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer, type in a guy's name like Immanuel Quickley, and start poking around and see what we have here for Quickley. Now, when I take a look at some of the numbers here for Quickley, as far as sportsbook data, because I use sportsbook data to help me make my decisions. In other words, I'm comparing PrizePicks numbers to various sportsbooks and other DFS apps like PrizePicks. When I compare that to where PrizePicks is at, there's a couple of them that stood out. You got the points and rebounds over 18.5. That one seems to be a decent one. And then you got FanDuel, who's already got Immanuel Quickley up at 19.5 points plus rebounds, which means maybe things are trending up for Immanuel Quickley. Maybe this 18.5 becomes 19 or potentially 19.5 on the points and rebounds before it's all said and done. The other one that kind of caught my eye was this one, the points and assists at 20.5. Again, FanDuel already jumping up ahead of some of these other books and saying, hey, that 20.5 number is a little bit too low for Quickley. Let's go ahead and bump it up to 21.5 because that just seems to be the way things are trending. So you can get in on either one of these Immanuel Quickley picks early or quickly. In this case, taking the over on the points and rebounds or the over on the points and assists seems to be like a good move. Let's take a look at some of the projections, though, for Immanuel Quickley. I use a number of different NBA player projection models. One of them is RotoWire. This is their PrizePicks Optimizer. Really, really nice tool. It's going to look at a couple of different data points. It's going to look at other DFS pick'em sites. It's going to look at other sports books. It's going to give you a proprietary player projection, which is originated here by RotoWire. And then it's also going to give you a little bit of a glimpse at the hit rate. So let's look at those top two plays that we were talking about for Quickley, the points and assists or the points and rebounds. We're going to pop open his more advanced player chart here. And what's nice about this RotoWire app, it's going to give you a little bit of a news blurb here about the player. Then you're going to see some of the DFS pick'em comparisons, some of the sportsbooks comparisons, and then you're going to see the RotoWire projection in this case for his points and rebounds. He's projected, or points and assists, he's projected for 23.26 points and assists. So that's a 2.76 edge or differential or advantage for us versus where his line currently sits at 20.5 on PrizePicks, okay? And then you continue to scroll down on this chart, and then you could go to like the 2024 season if you wanted to, and you can kind of see how he's performed at 20.5 points and assists. He's hit the over in 4 out of 7 games, averaging about 22.4 points plus assists in those games. So gives you a little bit of a glimpse of the hit rates in those charts. And then we could also flip over real quickly. I did it again. Real quickly to the points and rebounds and get the look at the hit rates there. Not quite as good as the points and assists. He's 3 out of 7 on the points plus rebounds. So I guess the lean would be take the points and assists instead of the points and rebounds since he's gone over on the points and assists more than he has for the points and rebounds. But you guys do what you want to do. Maybe you take both in separate slips. Let's look at some other projections on Immanuel Quickley today. We're going to go over here to Fantasy Labs and take a look and see what he's looking like over there. We're going to go, let's go points and rebounds. 22.9 projected points plus rebounds, so nearly 23 points plus rebounds for Immanuel Quickley. And then we could also take a peek at the points and assists. Almost 25 on the points plus assist projection for Immanuel Quickley. So things are looking really good for him today. And we'll give you one more projection because every projection model isn't the same, gang. That's why I use multiple projection models so I can kind of aggregate the information from different player projection models. In terms of this one, 24.4 points plus rebounds according to Roto Grinders and the Shot Quality Advanced Analytics, so huge projection there. And if you wanted to go points plus assists, that's also looking good, 27.66 projected points plus assists for Immanuel Quickley. So across the board, Immanuel Quickley looking like a great option. Going back here and taking a look at some of these other players that kind of caught my eye. Another guy was Spencer Dinwiddie. A lot of Spencer Dinwiddie unders are popping up here on this Fantasy Labs tool. You got points and rebounds at 18.5. The under looking like the way to go when you kind of compare the Fantasy Labs projections versus the lines on PrizePicks. You got the points, rebounds, and assists at 24.5, also a lean less option. And then last but not least, you got the points plus assists at 21.5, looking like a less option as well. So let's go check out the sportsbook data. We've got a little bit of an idea of how some of these projections are lining up here for Spencer Dinwiddie, but here you go. Dinwiddie at 21.5 points plus assists, 52.8% chance that he stays under that number. Most sports books now are kind of sliding down from 21.5 down to 20.5, so you might see this line end up getting moved down or bumped down on your favorite DFS apps like PrizePicks, like Underdog, etc. But as of right now, he's sitting at 21.5 on PrizePicks, so we're getting some value here, about a 2.82% edge based on the odds pulled from these various sites and or sports books. So now that we know that, we can take a look at some of the projections for Spencer Dinwiddie. Going back over to RotoWire, punch in Dinwiddie's name there, and taking a look, you're seeing some different mixed options here. You're seeing like lean more on things like his points, his rebounds and assists, and his points and rebounds. You're seeing some lean less on the points and assists, points, rebounds, and assists, and the assists on their own. But we're talking points and assists in this case, which looks like the best option in terms of a lean less play. So let's pop open this little chart here. You can see his projections pretty sharp actually at 21.17 points plus assists, a 0.33 PA differential. Now we scroll on down here and look at the hit rates. These are a little bit misleading, which is why I don't recommend using those last 5 hit rates that PrizePicks provide you, because that doesn't take into consideration who was in, who was out for those games. Doesn't take into consideration things like foul trouble, minutes played, all that stuff. So be careful when looking at hit rates. But Spencer Dinwiddie did have a strong game in his last game against the Los Angeles Lakers, where he put up 27 points and assists. That was a little bit of a revenge game, as Dinwiddie was a former LA Laker himself. But outside of that, I mean, his games, he doesn't really have a whole lot of big games in his game logs. Obviously, no Kyrie, no Luka, so he's going to continue to absorb a lot of minutes at the guard spot. Him and Quentin Grimes have really been holding it down. And then you can also sprinkle in a little bit of Jaden Hardy in that rotation as well. But yeah, Dinwiddie, I don't know, not the most consistent guy in the world. So I guess leaning under looks like the way to go here based on the projections. But let's take a look at some of the other projections for Dinwiddie today. 19.2 is his projected points plus assists number over on Fantasy Labs. So they like him to go under 21.5. I think if you get him at under 21.5, that's the magic number. If it gets bumped down to 21, probably still fine to play. But at 20.5, I'd be a little bit more hesitant to take the under at that number. Take a look at Shot Quality's projection for Spencer Dinwiddie. They've got him at 18.38 projected points plus assists, which puts him well under the 21.5 number that you got over on PrizePicks. So that's pick number 2. Let's go to the third guy that kind of caught my eye, and that is DeAndre Ayton. We played him the other day. He ended up cashing out for us. There's a couple different options here for DeAndre Ayton that really caught my eye. Points and assists over 14.5, or you could go just with the straight up points, or you could go points, rebounds, and assists. They all look like good options. So let's take a closer look at DeAndre Ayton out on your favorite sports books. DeAndre Ayton today. The points looks like the top plus EV way to play. 52.4% chance for him to go over 13.5 points. You see in Pinnacle, who is the sharpest sports book out there, they've got him at minus 141 to go over 13.5. So really good odds on Pinnacle. And then favorable odds on most of these other sports books for him to clear 13.5 points. So you could go that route. You could also take the points, rebounds, and assists, a 52.2% chance that he goes over 24.5 PRA. So those would probably be my top two options. But if you're looking for a third option, let's say the other two get bumped, consider DeAndre Ayton for more than 23.5 points plus rebounds. You see in FanDuel already listing him up at 24.5 PR, a whole point and rebound higher than pretty much every other site and or book out there. Most places you're going to see him at 23.5. FanDuel's got him at 24.5. And usually FanDuel is kind of like the industry leader when it comes to bumps. They're usually the first one to bump something up or bump something down. And so you can kind of see that they're getting an early start on some of the other DFS apps and some of the other books by listing DeAndre Ayton up at 24.5 points plus rebounds. Now, taking a look at the projections for DeAndre Ayton today, they're all looking pretty darn favorable, especially over on RotoWire. You got the points and rebounds projecting over, the points, rebounds, and assists projecting way over. You've got the points, which we mentioned before, not as good of a projection. The little projection bar on the bar graph, not quite as high because it's a little bit of a sharper projection. But let's go ahead and pop this open and get some numbers here. 13.59 projected points, so not much of an edge or differential when you compare to the 13.5 point line that he's sitting at. You could also go points plus assists. 14.5 is the number. 15.3 is the projection. But the ones that kind of caught my eye were the points plus rebounds plus assists. Now, he's got a 63% hit rate on this one. Going up against Dallas, his last three head-to-heads against the Mavericks, he has gone over, especially in more recent games. If you look at the 2024 games in which he's played against the Dallas Mavericks, well, he played them on December the 23rd, had 25 PRA against them there. Comes back on December the 28th with a massive performance of 38 points plus rebounds plus assists. And if we go back to early December the 1st, he had 28 PRA. So his last three games, all from this season, he has gone over against the Dallas Mavericks in 3 out of 3 in the head-to-heads. Now, what about the other different categories? Well, he's 3 for 3 on the points. He's 3 for 3 on the points plus assists, so you could take either one of those as well. And he's also 3 for 3 against Dallas on the points plus rebounds. So DeAndre Ayton versus the Mavericks seems to be a really good matchup, no matter which one you decide to take. Taking a look at some other projections for Ayton today. We'll go over to Fantasy Labs and take a look at the different ones there. 15.5 projected points. Again, his line is just 13.5, so a 2-point differential for Ayton there. You go points and rebounds, 1.5 PR higher, according to the Fantasy Labs projections, than where his line is currently sitting at 23.5. And if you wanted to go PRA, well, hey, I like that one too. 26.5 projected points, rebounds, and assists versus a line of just 24.5 over on PrizePicks. So DeAndre Ayton looking pretty strong across the board. Let's get you one more projection here on Ayton. The points, 16.22 on shot quality and Roto Grinders projections. The points and assists, 17.62 there. Points and rebounds, 25.37. Points, rebounds, and assists, 26.77. So DeAndre Ayton looking really good across the board. Those are three guys to keep your eye on today. Immanuel Quickley, Spencer Dinwiddie, and DeAndre Ayton. Hopefully these cash for you. I'll have more picks, plays, and parlays inside of Dub Club. So if you're interested, 7-day free trial to all the picks, plays, and parlays is down in the comments section below. We'll catch you on the inside. Peace.